Hello. That was a cover of the Dawn Trail theme done by Lilybell. Damn, my bonkos are going off. Okay. Oh, where's Sippy? Hello, Snee. The Snee. 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 Ooh, that feels loud. So, I got new headphones, so there should be 100% less me pulling my tower down with my leg. There is still a wire connecting my Xbox controller to the PC, but when I woke the following morning, Susato-san was already gone. Outside the window, the rain came down in sheets. And so began an even longer day than the last. One that I would remember for the rest of my days. Snee. It's the Snee. Good morning, Gina. I'm determined to prove your innocence today. I'm sure we can do it. So where's your friend, then? Sorry. You know, wearing the fancy dress. Susato, or however you say it. I don't know. Ah, Mrs. Sato had to leave early this morning. She was already gone by the time I woke up. You alright with that? Are you? Forget about me if you like. Go see her off. It's fine. It's not as though Mrs. Sato and I won't meet again. One day. Even so, but you, Gina, you only get one chance. Trial today is all we have. Good morning, you two. How are you feeling, Ginny? Did you manage to sleep? Iris, what are you doing here? What do you mean? When a friend is in need, we show our support. Isn't that right? Isn't that right, Waggy? Ah, Waggy. Great way to show your support, kitty. I'm having nose around. What can I do? Oh, that reminds me. I brought paper on the way here. Now, would you like the good news or the bad news? What do you say, Runo? Ginny? Oh, well, I think I'd rather get the bad news out of the way first. Nah, always take the good news first. You might not live to hear the bad. Yes, that question always gives away people's personalities. Let's not go there. Alright then, I'll give you the bad news first. A record amount of rain has fallen this morning, and carriages all over the capital are struggling to move. Huh? bad news was a weather report? So I hope that Susie made her train to Dover, and that the train isn't delayed on its way to the port. Alright then, so what's the good news? Well, the rain is forecast to subside this afternoon. So even if the train is delayed, it should be able to make up... So even if the train is delayed, it should be able to make up the time later. Well, that is good news, isn't it? I couldn't give a monkey's, really. If only all good news canceled out the bad. I think I prefer the good news first. I don't know. And look, this trial made the headlines too. Pawnbroker perishes and pick-purse plunder. See? How'd you like that? We'll let them say what they want. See if I cave. I can't, because you're covering your face. Don't worry, Runa will soon show everyone that this headline is nonsense. I will. And then, in tomorrow's papers, the headlines will be... Discharged diver is dauntless do-gooder. Isn't that right, Runa? Oh, yes. Let's hope so. Of course they will. I have absolute faith in you. How's that? I was trying to sound like Susie. Did it work? Did it? It's like she was still here. Good luck then, Runa. I'll do what I can. Obviously, I don't know the law like Susie does, but still. I'll be by your side the whole time, giving you more support and encouragement. I'm not sure that big thing's as comforting as you think it is, to be honest, but thank you, Iris. It's very kind of you. Oh yeah, Iris. Yes, Ginny? Well, I was wondering, is all, about Sholmes. Did they fix him up alright? Yes, the operation was a great success, but Hurley still hasn't come around yet. Yeah? I asked a friend of mine at Scotland Yard to send a telegram as soon as he wakes up. I'm sure Gregson will let us know the moment there's news. Oh, right. No Susato-san and no Mr. Sholmes. It's all down to me today to prove that Gina is innocent of this crime. The trial's about to begin. Please make your way into the courtroom. It's time then. Let's go, Gina. Iris. Lead the way. Poor Gina. She's trying to put on a brave face, but I can tell she's worried and scared. I have to believe in her from start to finish. That's the weapon that will secure our victory here. If I learned anything from my great friend, it's that. In the name of Her Majesty the Queen, I hereby declare this court to be in session. The trial shall determine the guilt or innocence of Miss Gina Lestrade. I now call upon the counsels for prosecution and defense to declare their willingness to proceed. The prosecution is ready. The defense is ready. Lord Van Zykes. My lord? Remind me, how many years ago was it that you withdrew from the public prosecution service? It was some 5 years ago, my lord. Yes, and 2 months ago you resurfaced somewhat unexpectedly, and here you are again today. Are there some circumstances of which the court should be aware that have led to this erratic behavior? And what one might describe as your former life 5 years in the past, You dealt exclusively in matters concerned with the highest echelons of society and government. Really? Yet today, you choose to try a simple case of burglary and murder. I confess I find it more than a little befuddling, Counsel. There are two types of person I cannot abide. Firstly, those wealthy scoundrels who hide behind a mask of philanthropy to cheat the public at large. He means Mr. McGilded, who you defended against the Reaper 2 months ago. Yeah, I just about managed to work that out. Thank you. If I'd known what a monster he was, I never would have defended him. And secondly, even more loathsome, those wily scoundrels who masquerade as allies only to effect total betrayal in the final hour. In other words, confidence tricksters from those tiny islands in the Far East, the Nipponese. What? Did he really just say that? He means you now, Bruno. I actually managed to work that out too. Thank you, Iris. Total betrayal? What are you talking about? That torrid look of hatred in Lord Van Zyke's eyes. Was that directed solely at me, or was he talking about all Japanese people? Alarmingly scathing explanation, Lord Van Zykes. Still, the judiciary welcomes the return of the so-called Reaper of the Barely, feared by all London's malefactors. Your lordship is too kind. Now, jurors, 6 of you have been selected at random to represent the will of the people in this trial. Are you ready to hear the evidence placed before you and determine the guilt or innocence of the defendants? Former lieutenant in the British Army here, don't you know? Traps like me were born ready. Clean crockery, clean cutlery, and a clean conscience. His lordship's motto is very appropriate here, I think. Everything will be stereoscopic in the future. Absolutely, absolutely everything. And I'm ready for it. I don't understand it. I can't have left it in there. It's not possible. But could I have? Woman indispensable in society. Stop. Female-centric future awaits. Stop. Good day. I am visiting London for sightseeing. I would like to take the bus to Crystal Tower, please. Something wrong, Bruno? Oh, not exactly. It's just... I'm fairly sure I recognize these jurors. Almost all of them, in fact. Really? Funny coincidences like that do happen from time to time, don't they? But it's quite strange. The jurors are chosen at random from London's 6 million inhabitants, you know. So I've been led to believe. Something tells me I'm being duped. Court calls upon the prosecution to introduce the facts of the case. Allow me to begin with a word of warning to the ladies and gentlemen of the jury. In short, there has never been a more self-evident case of cold-blooded murder. The victim, Mr. Pop Windebank, proprietor of a pawn shop on Baker Street, was shot from behind and died instantly. The prosecution presents his photographic print of the crime scene. As the court will observe, there is a single bullet wound just below the gentleman's left shoulder. The evidence suggests that the bullet pierced the man's heart, resulting in near-instant death. Moving to the findings of Scotland Yard's coroner, his report states that the bullet entered the body on a rising diagonal trajectory. And what's that supposed to tell us? It means the victim was likely shot by someone significantly shorter in height than himself. Someone like the accused, you might say. The prosecution wishes to present the autopsy report and the crime scene photograph as evidence, my lord. Court accepts. Hand them to the bailiff. and asked the court to turn its attention to this plan of the establishment where the incident occurred. The proprietor was found in the storeroom where he kept articles pawned to him. A windowless room with a single point of entry, a door to the main shop that was found locked. In this sealed chamber, there were only 2 persons present. The victim, Mr. Windibank, and the accused. It may further interest the court to know that when the accused was discovered at the scene, she had in her hand the gun used to fire the fatal bullet. Oh, that's that then, isn't it? Nothing more to say. Isn't that grubby little girl a pickpocket anyways? Just one of those filthy drabs that live in the slums in the East End. Oh well, it was only a matter of time before she got blood on her hands then. What are the jurors waiting for? The girl's guilty as hell. You can't jump to conclusions here. We mustn't assume her guilt because of what she has to do to survive. My learned Nipponese friend, it is you who mustn't jump to conclusions. The prosecution has barely begun presenting its case. Conveniently, this appalling act of murder did not go unobserved. There were witnesses. After their testimony, this girl's true nature will be exposed. Pitiful pickpurse, cold-hearted killer. Here's to establishing the truth. Court will take the floor plan and firearm into evidence. Hand him to the bailiff, please. This isn't good. I feel like the mood in here has turned very gloomy all of a sudden. I think that's because it has. Let us begin. Bring forth the witnesses to the foul murder of Mr. Pop Windibank on 16th April. On 16th April of this year. That sounds weird. Witnesses, state your names and occupations for the court. My name is Nash Skulkin. Occupation is a baddie. Professional baddie. Name is Ringo Skulkin. Occupation's same as him. Tobias Gregson, Scotland Yard Inspector. That's right. We're what they call the 3 Skulkin brothers. What are you looking at me like that for? Don't lump me in with you lot. Blimey, that's cold. Don't you know what we're going through? It's our bruv. Lost contact with them we have. So we're scouring each shady corner of the capital. And then last night we come across you. The very spit of the bloke. Isn't it right, Ringo? He is, Nash, he is. The very spit of him. So we decided there and then what's we got to do. We was gonna call you. Big bruv sulky. Come on, leave it out, you two. Sulky Skulkin? And that's before he's run out of chips. Well then, Inspector Sulky Gregson. I'm begging your pardon, my lord, but the name's Tobias. What I would like to know, Inspector, is what you are doing in the witness stand. The Skulkin brothers are currently under arrest, my lord, on suspicion of theft. Thieves, are they, these 3? No, my lord. Begging your pardon, but please don't lump me in with this lot. 2 nights ago, these 2 brothers illegally entered an establishment with the intent to burgle. Burgle. Get an achievement for suing one of the Sulkins while they're not actually interrupting a press. and in the course of their nefarious activities, they became embroiled in a far more sinister crime. By Jove, you mean to say? What an extraordinary coincidence. Indeed, my lord. While attempting to burglarize the pawnbrokery, they witnessed its proprietor's murder. The various trespasses of these brothers is not the subject of today's proceedings, though they will naturally face trial in the very near future. With your lordship's permission, I'd like to remain in the stand to keep these gents on the straight and narrow. Of course, Inspector. Skeptical as I am about the caliber of these witnesses, I will permit them to take the stand. Me and Mr. and Mr. Skulkin, you will now testify before the court. Describe the events of the night in question and what exactly you saw. Happy it too. Cause a skulkin's never skulkin'. Get out of it. We was walking down Baker Street in the small hours, and the gaff's door was ajar, see? It was like some kind of sign begging for us to go in, it was. Once we got inside, kerblimey lummy, we heard a gunshot from the back room. We went to see what was what, but the door was locked from the inside. We never done nothing, Governor. We never took nothing. We just left after that, nice and quiet. Terrible coincidence, it would seem. At the precise moment these miscreants entered the property, an even more sinister crime was afoot. The witness's testimony was consistent with the crime in every detail. The door providing access to the storeroom for the main shop was indeed locked from the inside. Within, only the victim and the accused were found. I must say, it does appear to be an overwhelmingly simple case. Still, the defense may cross-examine the witnesses now, of course. Counsel? Yes. What's the matter, Runa? Sorry, I was just stunned into silence for a minute by the blatant lies being told by that pair in the stand. I know that it's all nonsense, because I saw it with my own eyes. Just have to expose their testimony for the pack of lies it is.
Hold it!
The front door of Windibanks was ajar, you say? What time of night was this? Must have been about 1, right, Ringo?
Excuse me.
Mr. Ringo Skulkin, do you have something to add? Yeah? What? Something that was said just now appears to have got you thinking. No, well, yeah, I was just thinking about me bruv, Sulky. Oh, the one you've lost touch with? Yeah, blimey, he be a saint sometimes, that one. Always used to give me a share of his grub when we had anything to eat. Sounds like a very kind man. Get out of it. These chips are mine. I'm not sharing. Okay.
Hold it!
Must have been about 1. Right, Ringo? Yeah, I'd say so. Right, Sulky? How would I know? The place would have been shut at 1 in the morning, just like every other shop in town. Well, it was pitch black inside, it's true. Ain't that right, Ringo? I'm not so sure, Nash. I seem to remember a little light burning inside. What about you, Sulky, me old mucker? Leave me alone. Well, there's a small lamp on the inside. That's what alerted us to the situation in the first place. And when these gentlemen ventured into the open establishment, the accused, Miss Gina Lestrade, had already the muzzle of her gun trained on the unfortunate.
Objection!
This is pure conjecture. Perhaps, but it changes nothing. These brothers inadvertently wandered into the middle of a cold-blooded murder, Simply because they found the door of the victim's establishment open and ventured inside. Right, that's what happened.
Hold it!
What are you trying to suggest? That you had to go in? Well, God moves in mysterious ways, they say. Don't they, Ringo? They do, Nash, they do. Must have been some sort of providence, I reckon. God's will often presents itself as the whim of thieves, does it? It weren't no whim. I'm dead sure of that. It weren't, Nash, it weren't, like we said at the time. You don't just find doors open in the middle of the night like that. Nah, there's no two ways about it. It was a sign that our long-lost brother was inside. They're not very good liars, are they? Well, can't deny it. Led us to a bloke what looks just like our bruv. I said, cut it out. These chips are getting a chomping today.
Hold it!
A gunshot, you say? Just the one. Are you sure about that? Yup, just the one, governor. I can swear to that. It was, Nash, it was. Ain't that right, bruv? Firearm used to belong to the victim himself. Yes, Mr. Windibank always used to leave his gun lying around on the counter. Right, I remember. When we examined it, we found the revolver was completely out of rounds. That makes sense. Mr. Windibank always used to say he only ever kept a single bullet loaded. It's true, I remember him saying that as well. So we can say with considerable certainty that only a single round was discharged from the firearm used as the murder weapon. Yes, my lord, we can. And I should remind the court that the firearm in question was discovered in the hand of the accused. Wonderful. Alright. We went out to see what was what, but the door was locked from the inside.
Hold it!
Do you mean the door between the main shop and the storeroom? If my learned friend is having difficulty grasping the situation, perhaps a drawing would help. Yes, we know this. Of course, there was only a faint little oil lamp burning, not much to see by. And the door was hidden behind a curtain and all.
Excuse me!
Mr. Nash Skulkin, do you have something to add? Eh? What? Something that was said just now appears to have got you thinking. Oh, well, yeah. I was just thinking about me bruv, Sulky. Oh, the one you've lost touch with? Yeah, Gore, he could be a right nasty piece of work sometimes, that one. Always used to nab me share of the grub when we had anything to eat. He does sound like a very mean man. Oi, what are you looking at me for, sunshine? Achievement.
Hold it!
Let's continue going through this. The door was hidden behind a curtain and all. That's right. When we arrived, the door was mostly obscured by the curtain. Tell me, why exactly did you try to open that door? Eh? Any normal petty thief would run at the sound of a gunshot, I should think. Oh, well, your turn to rabbit, Ringo. Well, Nash, yeah. Suppose you'd have to say we ain't normal, eh? Broadly speaking, humans respond in one of two ways on hearing a gunshot or scream. The timid flee, gripped by fear, while the courageous investigate to see if they might help. These gentlemen are of the latter inclination. My learned Nipponese friend, it would seem, is the former. Alright, somehow I just proved I was a coward that night. Thank you, counsels. So, I believe we all understand the door was locked and could not be opened. didn't do or take anything? Is that your story? Well, it was Bedlam soon as, weren't it? It was, Nash, it was. Didn't even have time to pull me dukes out, me lady lockets. So, with no time to take your hands out of your pockets, you just left. Nice and quietly, you say. That's right, Governor. Nothing we ate more than violence. Peace-loving nibblers we are, not bludgers. We are, Nash, we are. Never even pulled me dukes out, me lady Lucy lockets. So, you'd clearly like us to believe. Come again? As you fled from the pawnbrokers that night, did you not run into anyone else? And did you not fire a gun at that person? Saints alive, they fired a gun, you say? Ah! Blimey, Governor. You ain't telling us it was you in the doorway. It was. Why the bleeding, Nora? Didn't you mention that before? You were armed with a gun, and as you fled the scene, you fired that gun at London's greatest detective, Sherlock Sholmes. They shot the great Mr. Sholmes? I did hear that, actually. There was a rumor he'd been rushed to a hospital. The great Sholmes? That's beyond the pale. On the night in question, this pair were arrested by the police within minutes of the discovery of the crime scene. Their suspicious countenance rapidly gave them away. And when searched, a firearm was indeed found in their possession. Furthermore, the barrel shows signs of a shot having been fired from it. The prosecution invites his lordship to examine the firearm recovered from these brothers. Yes, indeed. Remnants of powder around the muzzle, as you say, counsel. The court will hold this weapon as evidence. So a single round was fired from this gun, and a single round was fired from the other gun. Now, my learned Nepalese friend. Here's to your successfully presenting the evidence. For yes, there are telltale signs of spent powder on this gun, and a single bullet missing from the cylinder. But prosecution demands evidence that it was fired at the scene of the crime under scrutiny in this trial. Well, I don't need evidence, because I was there.
Objection!
However, the rest of us in this courtroom were not. The defense fails to provide evidence in support of its rash claim. We shall have no choice but to toast your incompetence and move on. Evidence that these two fired that gun before they left Windbags that night? I mean, yeah, we got that. The court demands that all claims are affirmed with clear proof. But evidence showed that these witnesses unloaded a firearm in the pawnbroker's shop that night. Wait, is that Sholmes' blood? Oh god, I'm turning into Erica.
Take that!
The evidence is in this portfolio. What on earth do you have there, counsel? During the course of our investigations, we discovered a number of bloodstains. Not trusting the police to do the jobs they're trained to do? How arrogantly Nepalese of you. Well, anyway, we analyzed all the blood samples we found and recorded results in this portfolio. We claim to have the evidence that the court is demanding therein. Yes, my lord. No more dallying then, counsel. Present the pertinent evidence at once. What do you have in your portfolio that proves these witnesses unloaded a firearm at the scene? Not this one. Obviously not that one.
Take that!
What is that? Explain. It's a photographic print taken at Windibank's pawnbrokery on the day of the incident. From the scene of the crime, is it? Is that... A bullet hole? And if my eyes do not deceive me, it appears the bullet is still lodged there. Yes, as your lordship noticed, the bullet pierced Mr. Windibank's calendar. The date shown being the 16th of April, the very day of the pawnbroker's death. The incident occurred at 1 hour after midnight, but this indicates that a separate shot had been fired after the calendar had been set to the 16th. That's right. And while it wasn't irrefutable, the defense believes this is credible evidence that the witnesses did fire a gun from a round from their gun at the pawnbrokers that night. Yeah. How does the prosecution stand, Lord Van Zykes? So we're trying to, like, discredit the witnesses first. That is the direction my learned friend wishes to take. The prosecution has no objection. What? But you'll forgive me for flinging my hollowed chalice aside in disgust at the repugnancy it exposes. Yes, on the night in question, these brothers entered the pawnbrokery illegally. And like the bold baddies they claim to be, opened fires on the new arrivals before fleeing back onto the street. Take it easy there, Governor. You're gonna land us in the soup. We had a deal. You weren't gonna get into them details. Tell him, Sulky. Set the bloke straight. I have nothing to add. So he knew, did he? Van Zykes knew their testimony would almost certainly expose the extent of their crimes. It would seem now that I owe my learned Nipponese friend a word of gratitude. What do you mean? What I mean is that you have helpfully confirmed an important fact. We confirmed that their gun was fired at the calendar, and not at the victim. As has been established, at the point of their arrest, a single shot had been fired from the brother's gun. However, if that shot had found its target in Mr. Sholmes, then clearly these witnesses cannot be accused of the fatal shooting of the proprietor and victim. In other words, these two men have no material connection to the murder of Mr. Windibank at all. So that's it. That's it. We didn't have nothing to do with it. We didn't, Nash, we didn't. That's what I reckon. Your crimes include unlawful entry, intent to steal, perjury, and, let's not forget, attempted murder. Quite a catalog, eh, fellas? Ah. We're in for it now, bruv. Now then, let us take a moment to consider the aforementioned great detective, Mr. Erlach Sholmes. It would seem the man patronized the pawnbrokers in question somewhat regularly. Where's he going with this? Mr. Sholmes appears to take pleasure in tinkering with eccentric machinery. Eccentric? Says who? Not me. Don't give me that look. He installed a pair of machines like this one in the victim's shop. Oh, that's one of Early's red-handed recorders. What is that, Counsel? It has the appearance of a photographic contraption. As your lordship has surmised, it is indeed a camera attached to a small timing device. Every half an hour, it automatically photographs the interior of the establishment. The idea being is that if a thief were to break into the shop, he would be caught red-handed. The prosecution has obtained the photographs taken by the device by the night in question. As the court will observe, copious identical prints are produced in quite desultory fashion. Rather prodigal, I feel. In fact, there are 2 such devices in the victim's shop, my lord. If I refer the court to the plan of the premises, their respective positions are here and here. You say these cameras produce a print every half hour. I'm afraid I fail to see how that would help in the anticipated thief conducted his activities in... How that would help if the anticipated thief conducted his activities in one of the many 30-minute intervals. One can only pray that the would-be criminal lingers, my lord. Sneeve is playing Stardew. Oh no, he's gonna eat all of Pelican Town's food. On the night in question, the witnesses currently in the stand were not caught on camera. Hee, that's a bit of Friar Tuck, isn't it, bruv? Lady Luck loves a skulkin'. Witnesses, at what time did you trespassing begin? Said at 1. Yeah, must have been just after 1. Right, bruv? Must have been Nash. Must have been. Yeah, just gone 1. In which case, minutes before the brothers entered the establishment, what scene might we expect to see within the shop? Let us examine the evidence. Oh, Gina. Why didn't you just lead with this? It's a defendant, Miss Gina Lestrade. As the court can clearly see, the accused is pictured, gun in hand, facing the victim over the shop counter, no doubt coercing the proprietor to open the door to his storeroom. Quite. One can only too easily imagine the events that unfolded. The court will take this photographic print in as evidence, if you please. Can we have all of them? I don't believe it. Ginny. In short, the accused is the only person who could have possibly killed Mr. Winterbank. I say, my lord. Wonder if I might put in a word at this point? Go ahead, Foreman. Took a bally bullet to the knee in the Battle of Maiwand, 1880, don't you know? Decorated for it and all that, but forced to retire from service, sadly. Of course, a medal can never outshine the exploits of chaps like us on the battlefield. Yes, Mr. Foreman, and what exactly is your point? Carried on the battle after retirement, you see. The battle of daily life, if you like. Here I am now, leading this small squadron. 6 men, all good and true. We'll all go down together, you mark my words. 1 for all, and all for one. The ladies and gentlemen of the jury have reached agreement, have they? Is that what we are to understand? In a manner of speaking, yes. That is the Garradeb Squadron's position, sir. What? No! It's too soon to make a judgment here. Status report for the court, men. On the double. His lordship insists on promptitude at all times, and that goes for making decisions, too. I think you'll find the truth as clear as day now. I could reach out and touch it. I wouldn't happen to have left it in there. I just wouldn't. But in all honesty, I can't actually remember. Situation clear. Stop. No room for doubt. Stop. Truth now undeniable. Stop. I very sorry for brothers. They are unlucky. Very well. I now call upon each member of the jury to state his or her learning in this matter.
Guilty.
Guilty.
Guilty. Guilty.
Guilty.
Guilty.
It does indeed appear that the jury is unanimous in its leaning already. Photograph. It must be definitive evidence that Gregson mentioned. But Ginny didn't shoot him. Okay, let's take a look at what we got here. It's a sensational story lower down on the front page as well. Ministry mole, classified secrets may have been leaked overseas from Ministry of Justice. For a 10-year-old, Iris certainly has her finger on the pulse of world news. It's about secret communications between Great Britain and its allies. Apparently, they're being intercepted by hostile nations. How would somebody be doing that? That's the question, isn't it? I've come up with 3 different possible methods. Are you looking for a new career? No, of course not. I wonder, perhaps this is what Lord Strongheart was talking about yesterday. Yes, it could be, and it could explain why he has Gregsy running from pillar to post at the moment. Pawnbroker perishes in pig purse plunder. How awful. For Ginny, I mean. Tomorrow's headline will be, Discharged Diver is Dauntless Do-Gooder, right? Yes, something like that. If possible, I'd like to go even bigger. Bigger? How? Proud pickpocket. Proud pickpocket. Proud pickpocket protects planet post-trial. Protects planet? Ooh, I can't wait for tomorrow now. It's gonna be so great. Yeah, that's me. Let's see. This is Mr. Windbank's gun. Cylinder is completely empty. Mr. Windbank always used to keep this gun on hand. This gun to hand on his shop counter. Yes, but only ever with a single bullet loaded, I understand. That's right, to keep all the pawned articles that were in his care safe. But his one bullet was fired that night, and the poor man lost his life. Was he protecting his shop, I wonder? Trying to keep the articles safe? Nothing really to glean from here. So, his ammunition's still loaded in 5 of this revolver's 6 cylinders. Yes, which tells us only a single shot has been fired from it. Exactly. The bullet that hit Hurley, in fact, isn't it? Yes, tapped almost as soon as we walked in through Windibank's door. I'll make those brothers pay. Nothing really special on this gun. It was the Phantom. Of course not. My lord, the defense wishes to assert its right to a summation examination. Very well, the court grants permission. So, you refuse to admit defeat again. How unsurprising. We shall proceed immediately with the summation examination. Mr. Foreman, are all members of the jury ready? Absolutely, sir. Always ready for action, my chaps. Very good, ladies and gentlemen of the jury. You will each explain on what grounds you have determined the defendant to be guilty. All the evidence clearly points to the finger of guilt at this young pickpocket. Pickpocketian. As a housemaid, I should like to see all filthy eyesores promptly and rigorously eliminated. I think you'll find that if you look at the photograph in stereo, the truth will just pop out. I have left it in there. I should think there'll be some repercussions by now. Mind made up. Stop. Global radio transmission, a verdict to follow. Stop. I think he just has a maid kink. In Motherland, we say never judge by clothes, judge by head. I am convinced brothers are innocent. circumstance of the crime and the evidence do indeed implicate the defendant rather comprehensively. The storeroom, locked from the inside, in which the victim and the accused were discovered alone. And in the accused's hand, the fatal revolver, the firing of which was heard by these witnesses. Not to mention, there's print. Take it from a chap who's seen action on the battlefield. That young girl's on the verge of pulling the belly trigger. Thanks a lot, Mr. Sholmes. Oh dear, Hurley's camera was supposed to help, not hinder. I'm afraid I think you have an uphill struggle ahead of you. But Gina didn't shoot Mr. Windibank. Which means there's more to this situation than we've yet to see. Agreed. You'll have the floor, counsel. Proceed with the summation examination. You're Mr. Natsume's landlord, Mr. Garrett, aren't you? You really must stop meeting like this. Ah, you're that lawyer chap. Oh, there's a turn up for the books. Yes, rather turbulent time we had back then. Some extraordinary events took place at your house, that's for sure. Luckily, Mr. Sholmes and I were able to get to the bottom of it all. I think we did rather a lot for you, didn't we? I mean, obviously, I wouldn't be suggesting that therefore you should change your leaning to not guilty or anything. Can't be denied, I suppose. The curse of the Garradeb house was the talk of the town after that business. Lodgers moved out, and I couldn't get a bally soul to take up tenancies. Oh. Haven't had the heart to break the news to Joni yet. Bad enough that the old girl's clapped up. Yes, can't be denied. We did do rather a lot, but not for us. That's for dashed certain. I suppose not. Of course, there could be no suggestion of that being the reason I'm leaning towards guilty here, obviously. But honestly, I really wish you'd pay more attention to the trial and less to juror number 2. Yeah, he has a maid kink.
Hold it!
Polishing the bench, I see. Again. A maid's work is never done. Not a blemish must remain. What exactly do you mean by filthy eyesores? On my way to market for his lordship, I have to pass through the East End. The place is full of beggars, pick-pursers, and crossmen, the scum of the earth. A little harsh, perhaps. Let me be plain. If it were up to me, all those back slums would be made spick and span or eradicated. At least we have people like the Great Detective working to achieve these important goals. You're referring to Mr. Sherlock Sholmes? That's right. I like to keep abreast of his exploits by reading Rant's magazine between my duties. He does wonders cleaning up London's streets. In my opinion, he should be declared an honorary maid of the capital. Mr. Sholmes? The maid? It's really quite unforgivable. Gutter scum having the audacity to shoot our very greatest detective. Minor detail. It was the 2 brothers in the stand who shot Mr. Sholmes, not the defendant. A minor detail indeed. They're all gutter scum as far as I'm concerned. Well, it might just be an idea to get our facts straight anyway. Yes, alright. I shall amend my statement. Those brothers are the scum of the earth. They should swing for shooting the Great Detective.
Hold it!
I agree with you. The shooting of Mr. Sholmes was an unforgivable act. But the purpose of this trial is to determine who shot the pawnbroker, Mr. Windibank. I'm afraid you're splitting hairs, sir. Whether it was the thieves or the pick-purse, it was still gutter trash that shot the pawnbroker in the end. Filth that should be cleaned up and eradicated, in my considered opinion. Thanks so much for sharing. Changing this maid's mind isn't going to be easy. It's one of those 2 brothers that shot Hurley, wasn't it? No question. Well then, I'll never forgive them. Oh, Iris. Perhaps we can use this maid's statement to help us somehow, do you think? think. I am thinking of pitting her against the totally not Russian revolutionary. I think you'll find that if you looked at the photograph in stereo, the truth will just pop out. What do you mean, look at the photograph in stereo? Sorry, what? Don't you know? If you look at the photographic print normally, it looks as though the pickpocket girl is about to shoot the victim, obviously. But there's no indication that the defendant ever fired the gun. All I'm saying is that if you look at the same print in stereo, it could reveal all sorts of new information. By any chance, are you a fan of stereoscopes? Ooh, how did you know? Let's call it a lucky guess. It never gets old seeing the two prints merge together into one before your eyes. It's extraordinary. It's captivating. It's the height of modernity. Of course. Oh yes, I think you'll find the stereoscope is here to stay, giving us new perspectives we could only dream of before. It's the greatest invention the world has ever seen. If only you could give me a new perspective on this case, I might agree with you. I do think that we need to be getting the second photo from the time so we can see what's going on. If I left it in there, I should think of the repercussions by now.
Hold it!
What exactly have you been muttering about all this time, sir? You keep talking about having left something. Keep talking about having left something somewhere or something like that. Ah, so sorry. As you can probably tell, I'm a surgeon. A surgeon? Totally passed me by. Of course, people conducting surgery in this country aren't considered to be doctors. Oh no. Even though me and my kind are at the forefront of medical science, the real brains on the field. So, what is it that you think you've left behind? Well, that's a little embarrassing to be honest. You see, I was operating on someone yet. What did you leave in Sholmes? Did you put a pigeon in him? You see, I was operating on someone yesterday, standard thing, went in through the abdomen. But when I'd finished the procedure, I couldn't find my scalpel anywhere. What? Did he surely not? Exactly, surely not, you must say to yourself, don't you? Worrying, isn't it? That's what's been troubling me this whole time. Could I really have left my scalpel inside the fellow's belly? No, of course I couldn't. So, there you have it. Like I said, a little embarrassing, really. That's one way of putting it. The other is manslaughter. That's exactly my concern. Seeing as this case appears to be all but sewn up, I need to focus on trying to remember exactly what I've sewn up elsewhere. Hey, Ken. Now, I'm sure I made sure everything was back as it should be. Well, as sure as you can be without being sure. I'm sure you need to be more sure. So I need to take off the bra. Oh god, hold on. It's nothing bad, it's just I have the sweatshirt on. And I need to finagle. Right. Sweatshirt back on. Yeah. Mind made up. Stop. Global transmission of verdict to follow. Stop.
Hold it!
Sorry, radio transmission? What do you mean? Are you from the Far East? Stop. Yes, from the Empire of Japan. Oh. All communication with Far Eastern nations used to take place by mail. Royal Mail steamers take more than a month to complete the journey. Ah, but now we have the electric telegram, so you can send messages using electrical signals. Thousands of miles of cables have been laid down along the ocean beds, connecting the entire world. Thousands of miles of cable on the ocean bed. My head hurt just thinking about it. You two are well informed. You are well informed, young lady. The cables will soon become a thing of the past. Stop. Just when I was starting to catch up. Radio transmission is the future. Stop. Messages carried over the airwaves to four corners of globe. Stop. Excitement growing. Stop. Atmosphere electric. Stop. Right. Try not to wear out your fingers. Era of wireless telegraphy. Telegraphy. Stop. Driving technological evolution. Stop. And people say inventions like the stereoscope are the height of technology. What other piffle? I can't understand it. I really can't. They're just silly toys. Oh, he's about to kick her ass.
Excuse me.
Juror number 3 is sorry to interrupt when you're obviously fuming, but... What? She perhaps have something to say about juror number 5's last remark? As if I couldn't guess. Oh, you bet I do. Say that again. Go on. I dare you. Goodness. Are you talking to me? I think you just might be, yes. You think stereoscopes are just toys, do you, huh? Absolutely. I mean, really, a machine to view photographs in 3 dimensions? Why on earth would you not just use your eyes to look at the world around you? It's all 3-dimensional. What a great way to appease the man. No, I'm sorry. Stereoscopes are of no practical use at all. You just don't know. Pardon? I think you'll find that viewing a photograph through a stereoscope can unlock all sorts of possibilities. I'm obviously going to have to demonstrate. What sort of possibilities? Well, take a crime scene, for example. If you had a pair of photographs from a crime scene that you could view through a stereoscope, it could reveal hidden clues you'd never have noticed before. Have you got any, Bruno? Any prints we could look at with a stereoscope? I got one.
Take that!
Alright then, juror number 3. Are you saying you can do this with any 2 suitable photographic prints? Of course I can. Very well then, I'd like you to demonstrate. I'd be delighted to. Just give me one more print and I'll amaze you all. Which we don't have. Oh, wait a minute. Can we show him these? Okay, hold on. Let me just throw out some random evidence.
Take that!
Wait, sorry? What do you mean, one more print? Oh dear, don't you have these in the Far East? Don't you know how a stereoscope works? Bruno, what? You need 2 photographs for a stereoscope, remember? You know, one for the left eye and one for the right. See, that's what she's been hiding under her hat. Cat ears. It's Blake all over again. The print we have from the pawnbroker is just a normal photograph. No. I think you'll find that the clue is in the name. It's a stereoscope, not a monoscope. You always need 2 prints. Thanks for the friendly explanation. Well, if we obtain another print at some point later in the trial, we can always show it to this young man then. Ah! I think you'll find that know-it-all expression is really starting to annoy me. Let's get things back on track, shall we, Council? Okay. Let me press this again. don't spare any feelings, will you? It's not like there's anyone here who likes stereoscopes. So, why exactly do you think that the defendant is guilty? It's quite simple. We haven't been shown a scrap of evidence to suggest that she isn't the culprit. Just as radio waves dash through the skies faster than the eye can see, we should dash to the conclusion of this trial and stop pandering to indecision. In Motherland. Oh, I've already read these.
Hold it!
Please tell me you're not villain Bolshevik. The Russian revolutionary. Revolutionary? Da. I believe there is such a rumor. It's just a rumor? As you see, I have unfortunate appearance. I look like vicious criminal. Your words, not mine. Just want to point that out. People call me revolutionary, murderer, autocrat. And which glove fits? Good day. I am visiting London for sightseeing. I would like to take bus to Crystal Tower, please. Right. That didn't sound staged at all. Forgive me for having my doubts. To be treated like vicious criminal all the time, it is very painful. People do not realize. I have much sympathies for these brothers. People say they are criminals obviously because of how they look. The Skulkin brothers? Da, maybe they went inside the pawnbroker's shop, but they have done nothing wrong. That is all I want to say. Skulkin brothers did nothing wrong that night? Alright, well first of all, that's one not so little misunderstanding I'll need to clear up straight away. Tell me something, Iris. What is it, Bruno? The jurors are chosen at random from the inhabitants of London town, aren't they? Yes! It's amazing, isn't it? In that case, how is it that there's a Russian tourist sitting among them who looks for all the world like a revolutionary? I wish I knew. Alright. Alright. We're gonna pit you.
Objection!
Two statements clearly contradict each other. Good lord. Counsel, explain yourself. Oh my statement? Contradictory? Contradict. C-O-N. Juror number 6, you've got the wrong end of the stick. I do not have stick. I have mouse. Aww. As juror number 2 said earlier, when the Skulkin brothers fled the scene on the night in question, they fired a shot from their revolver. Yes, they shot poor Mr. Sholmes in the abdomen. Abdomen, I understand. Surely you're not going to tell the court now that you didn't hear? Abdomen. Abdomen. Sorry, my English is still learning. You are telling the court you didn't hear? Forgive me, I did not hear. Ah, here is word. Abdomen. Part of person's body containing stomach and other vital organs. If this is what you mean, you should say in plain English. I am Russian, not native speaker. Who thought it was a good idea to let this man be on the jury again? So, you are telling me these brothers who look like criminals were lying? They said before, we never had done nothing. But the truth is, they shot detective. Da, this is double negative. Yes, that's exactly right. Oh no! Lying is wrong, especially when the lie is said by a person who looks like criminal. Coming from you, that seems surprisingly prejudiced. Tall mouse. Holy shit, it's the fucking... Hold on. Is that gonna show? Yeah. It's fucking rats. When they said we never took nothing, maybe it was also a big fat lie. Is this true? Well, according to police report, no stolen goods were found, so... Enough! I trust no one now. It's not the mouse's fault, though, sir. I must see with my own eyes. I must investigate the crime scene myself. I'm afraid that won't be possible. Yes, it is, Runo. Easily. Sorry. With the prints from Hurley's Hurley's red-handed recorder. Ah. If you compare the print that pictures Ginny and the next print from half an hour later, you'll be able to see straight away if anything was taken or not. Cooey, Mr. Prosecutor. Tut tut. Calling on the prosecution in the middle of a summation examination of all times. The print showing the accuser threatening the victim after she broke into the pawn shop is this one. Following this, the victim and the accused moved into the storeroom. Meanwhile, the Skulkin brothers entered the shop and summarily heard the fatal gunshot ring out. Sadly, none of these events were captured on film. This is the print produced by the camera half an hour later, after the brothers' flight. So this was taken after Hurley was shot, then. As far as I can tell, nothing has been taken. It does seem to be the case. Can't notice anything that's obviously missing in the second print. So, the brothers who look like criminals told only one lie. They shot a man, but they stole nothing. It would seem so, yes. Good. No, not good. You were right. I did not understood situation. Now I know brothers have lied. I think it is very important to continue with trial. Yay! Well done, Runo. The balance is shifting. Well, it's a start, I suppose. But there must be more in what these jurors are saying that I can use to expose the truth. If I can do that, we just might turn this situation in our favor still. Thank you, counsel. Continue with the summation examination. And kindly hand that new photographic print to the bailiff to be filed as evidence. Oh. Another print in the court record. I wonder if we can make use of that. Yeah, let's go see if we can... I wonder, Things have shifted slightly from the looks of it.
Hold it!
Don't know unless you try. How about this print here?
Take that!
Alright then, juror number 3. Very well then. I'd like you to demonstrate.
Take that!
Alright, these two prints were both taken with the same camera and went to Banks the night in question. Yes, I see. Tell me, Mr. Lawyer. Do you know how stereographic images work? Do you understand the principle? Well, I think so. I did have a lesson only yesterday. The left and right eye images need to be the same, only with a slight shift in the positions of some objects. Then, when your brain merges the two images together inside your head, it notices the shift as if it were depth. Yes, exactly. It's a small shift between certain objects in the two pictures that's really important. So what happens if you use two photographs that were exactly the same then? No, obviously that wouldn't work at all. Not for seeing the scene in 3-dimensionally anyways. Oh. Oh! Of course, now I see. I think the young girl has discovered the secret. I have. Can you uncross your eyes before you tell me? Have another look at these two pictures from Hurley's camera, Runo. Go on. Oh god. This hurts to me, too. This hurts to me, too. Can't you see the really obvious difference between them? Alright, so you stare at them both. And slowly... Oh god, There are 2 people from the first, and no people in the second. Well, yes, you can see that straight away. But now, try looking at the pictures in 3 dimensions. Okay. I'll give it a go. You have to cross your eyes and then try to make the 2 pictures overlap exactly. I can't. God. But I can tell that, like, the skull and books, like, these pieces in the back have shifted over to the right slightly. God, I feel dumb that I can't make this work. Did you manage to see it properly? Not really. I'm just not very good at this. That's the trouble. No, don't worry. I have just the thing. I happen to bring with me a portable stereoscope. I know I mentioned this yesterday, but if you had that contraption with you from the outset, you could have just saved me staring at Mr. Windibank and Gina like to hate them all the time. And if you remember, I said in reply that it's much more satisfying to be able to see the effect with your own eyes. Anyway, why don't we try using this helpful little aid now? Here goes. Yep. Let's see what we've got. What's going on with these 2 pictures? Some things on the counter sort of, they jump out at you. I love this. Ben Zyg's just going, huh. What will they think of next? That's the other amazing power of stereoscopes. Other amazing power? Is someone going to explain this black magic, eh? I am so curious what this looks like on an actual 3DS. I can't even check that because I have a 2DS. And I need to re-jailbreak it. Why the deuce would do some of the things on the counter seem to jump out at you like that, I think you'll find that if you consider the basic principle of stereoscope, you'll answer your own question. Basic principles of the stereoscope? As I said before, if you try to look at 2 identical pictures using a stereoscope, it won't work at all. It's the slight shift in the positions of certain objects that lets you see pictures 3-dimensionally. In other words, even though at first glance it seems the objects on the counter haven't moved at all between the 2 pictures. Yeah. I mean, I'm assuming there must be, like, a totally legal ROM of this game that's been translated into English that you could use. But... yes, there must have been. Now hold fire there, sir. Got a reasonable grasp of this whole cross-eyed business now, I'd say. Why the devil does this shift between the two prints exist in the first place? Well, what's the answer, fellow? Come on, you're the cross-eyed master. What? Me? I haven't the first idea. You know, Runo, it's quite simple. It's quite shrimple. It's quite sheeple. Sorry. Tell me a shrimp fry in these rice? Just think it through, step by step. The first photograph was taken at 10 a.m. Then, 30 minutes later, the second photograph was taken. The position of some items on the counter appear to have shifted slightly in the interim. So that means at sometime in the half-hour interval, someone must have tampered with the things on the counter. Zookers! That sounds like a slur. Someone tampered? New information! Stop. Not mentioned in the testimony so far. Stop. Yes. We've had to go around in circles a little here, it seems. But I'm starting to see what I should be aiming at in the summation examination now. Ladies and gentlemen, the question now is clear. We know that the items on the countertop were moved, but by whom? Are you suggesting you might know? Of course. I can tell you right now who is responsible for the almost imperceptible shift of the items on the counter.
Take that!
It was the witnesses currently in the stand, the Skulkin brothers. Wait. This does not agree with brothers said in testimony before. They said they did not even have time to pull dukes from Lucy Lockets. My phrasebook says dukes is meaning hands and Lucy Lockets is meaning pockets. But this, another lie. Is this what you were saying? Yes, I'm afraid so. Now hold on there a minute. You can't be sure of that. I quite agree. The accused is a common pick purse after all. It's perfectly possible that she went through the things on the desk to see what she might steal. I think that's unlikely. And why exactly? As you can see from this photographic print, the defendant was pointing a gun at the victim. It would seem, as my learned friend indicated, that she was coercing Mr. Windibank into opening the storeroom door. In other words, Miss Lestrade's interest lay within the storeroom, not the main shop, giving her no reason to touch anything on the counter. All of which points to one thing. Skulkin brothers have admitted key facts in their testimony. But the accused is a pickpurse, common gutter trash. Why look any further for the wrongdoer here? Because the Skulkin brothers are thieves, madame. No better, in fact worse, than a pickpurse. I believe that these brothers were looking for something on the victim's counter that night. Ladies and gentlemen of the jury, if you would condemn the defendant on the grounds that she's a pickpocket, would it not at least be right and proper to thoroughly scrutinize the testimony given against her by two thieves? Well said. I, for one, would like to hear more from that shady pair. Bro, you have hands. Can you all see now? I think you'll find stereoscopes aren't playthings. You've seen their extraordinary potential firsthand. Wholeheartedly agreed. Must purchase after trial. Will return home via Regent Street. It's the puppy. It's Tucker time. Whoa. Hi, baby. You doing okay? Baby. Oh my god, your baby. You're so baby. Your paws are wet. Were you out in the rain? The cow is back from her magical journey. What did you see? Hi, Tucker. Mama's defending best girl, so you gotta Gotta leave me alone for a bit. I can clear off some space on the bed if you want. Here. Let me clean the bed a bit. Sorry, chap. Tucker is priority. Your paws are wet, but I'll let you get on the bed anyways. Fuck it. I have no standards. It's the Tucker. Well, it seems this trial has yet to run its course. Ladies and gentlemen of the jury have declared their inclinations via the mighty scales of justice. Hereby call this examination to a conclusion with the balance altered in the defendant's favor. 2 lean guilty, 4 lean not guilty. Accordingly, the jury is without consensus. Now ordered this trial to continue. Yay! Well done. Oh, by the way, you should hold on to this. You never know when it might come in useful. Twice in one trial would be unusual, surely, but alright. Lord Van Sykes, you will instruct the witnesses that the court demands additional testimony from them. I'm sure it won't spoil the bouquet to do so, my lord. She is so tiny. Oh my god. I've won myself another chance to probe that pair about their activities at night at least. Hold on. If this is to be accurate. In fact, I feel like I should put her over here. And then... there we go. Swan's gone. She has a scalpel in her belly now. And I won't stop probing them until I've proven that Gina is innocent. I do want to keep going. You can't even fucking see her! She's so small! Order, please. Let us resume proceedings. In fact, I think... hold on. Puppy? Puppy. Baby. Witnesses, you will now retake the stand. I presume you heard the defense counsel's summation examination? Oh, yeah, Governor. I did, Gov, I did. Mr. and Mr. Skulkin. Good court, blimey. This is going to be hard work. Earlier in this trial, you gave the following testimony about your actions after you entered Windibanks. Well, it was Bedlam soon as, weren't it? It was, Nash, it was. Didn't even have time to pull me dukes out of me Lucy lockets. However, that was a lie. Your brothers. Blimey. On the night in question, you rifled through the items on the victim's counter. We never done nothing of the sort. How'd you figure that out? You will now give formal testimony once again. You will tell the court precisely what happened on the night in question, and this time you will tell the truth. Each lie that passes your lips serves to increase the severity of your punishment. And that, gentlemen, may deal a crushing blow to your chances of ever seeing the light of day again. A thought worth pondering, perhaps. Say no more, Gov, we hear ya. We'll blab, we'll squeak, we'll peach. Alright, we did knock a few things over. We weren't rifling for nothing. It was when we heard the gunshot, you see? Made us both jump, and all that stuff went flying. Lummy, didn't have to give me a fright. He was thinking the shooter would come out the door and get us next. He stuck everything back where we found it and scarpered, straight into them in the black. We couldn't have shot the pawnbroker, see? Never even had a chance, did we? So you admit to the defense's accusation. You did indeed ransack Mr. Windibank's countertop on the night in question. Not ransack, Governor, no. That's right, Nash, that's right. It's more like we tidied up. Yeah. Ugh, sorry. By their own admission, these brothers entered the pawnbrokery under dubious circumstances. However, they panicked and fled on hearing the gunshot, having first made good on their mess. The way you say it, we hardly sound like roughs at all. We don't, Nash, we don't. Can't he make us sound a bit more cutthroat? Can't just be coincidence that these men showed up at Windibanks that night. There's more to their testimony than meets the eye. I'm sure of it. Well, there's that second camera. What did that catch? I'm gonna go down and grab a cup of tea, because I can already feel my throat starting to get fucked. I also need to get a drink for my medicine when that comes, so I'll get the music going. Whoop, don't, it's not technical difficulties. And I'll be right back in a second. Whoops. Holy fuck, I burned my knee. Okay. But I got tea. Once it cools down a bit, I'll sippy. Yeah, this just feels wrong without Sholmes. I think I'm gonna have to put her back. Make her a little bit bigger too. There.
Hold it!
If that's the case, then why didn't you testify to that effect in the first place? Well, you know, we ain't exactly squeaky clean, are we? We ain't, Nash, we ain't. We admitted to something like that, the people would think we was up to no good. Well said, Ringo, me old China. We'd only land ourselves in even more trouble. And in fact now, as a result of lying in your previous testimony, that's exactly what you've done. Landed yourselves in even more trouble. Yeah, well, that's rotten luck, says the rotten apple eater. Witnesses, explain your actions to the court. Why did you ransack the victim's counter? We never ransacked nothing. Right, Nash, right. More like we tidied the place up. You're sorry. It was when we heard the gunshot.
Hold it!
So what you're saying is, the sound of the gunshot shocked you so much that you knocked all those things off the counter. Well, it shocked one of us that much, yeah. His bag of nerves need to learn to keep his shirt on. Look, it was loud, alright? Blimey, me dead granny would have woken up with that bang. Big rub ear screamed like a blooming baby and fell over on the counter. He knocked over a load of books, a candlestick, and some skull whatnot. That got tangled in some marionette, what knocked over the picture frame, what knocked out them scales on the floor. You've really mastered working quietly, then. What a racket. Granny would have been scared back into her grave, like, with a clatter like that. So in short, the gunshot took you by surprise. And then some. It was quiet as a mouse, and then all of a sudden, bam!
Excuse me.
Excuse me. Inspector Gregson, do you have something to add? Like I keep saying, don't appreciate being lumped in with these scoundrels. You're the one that freaked out. No, something to add about their testimony. You seem to react just now at what Mr. Skulkin said. Did it make you think of something? It's probably nothing, of course. I wouldn't even bother to mention it, only... Well, the fact is, cases don't get solved if you ignore the little details. How about you just tell us what's on your mind? As you know, we brought these fellas into the yard for questioning last night. And the statement they gave then told a slightly different story to what they're saying now. Did it? You claimed you heard the victim shout something out before the gunshot. Might have, Gov, might have. Does ring a bell now you mention it. Granted, it's only a minor detail, but still. Can't help but feeling perhaps you've been a bit sloppy with your testimony here, eh, fellas? If I discover the witnesses has been any more sloppy than it has been hitherto proven to be, I shall be forced to bring the very harshest punishment to bear against them. Easy, easy. We'll get it right this time. Oh, that was ghastly. Acid reflux fucking sucks. It's all coming back to me now. Then speak. Supplement your testimony with whatever details have miraculously returned to your questionable minds. Says. Right you are, Gov. Just before the gunshot, we heard her voice yelling out, "Give me that gun."
Hold it!
So in fact, you heard the voice and the gunshot almost simultaneously. We did, Gov, we did. Although, I suppose if you're being honest, we heard a kind of wavering voice before the yell and all. If you don't want to get shot, give me that gun. Kind of thing. A career in acting, tragically missed. And where were the voices coming from? Could you tell? Of course we could. From the other side of that door behind the counter it was. In the storeroom, where the victim was found dead. And the voice you heard, it was that of the victim, Mr. Windibank. On me granny's life, of course it was. On his Grammy's life, of course it was. So, that would mean that you both knew Mr. Windibank on the sound of his voice. So that would mean, what? What, Nash, what? Any ideas? Yes, Counsel, indeed, it would. Nah, we didn't know the geezer. How am I supposed to deny it when that bloke and all the fancy clobber's giving us the evil eye? No, his eyes are closed. Oh, never mind. If you value your lies, you will ensure your testimony is accurate and true. On me granny's life it is. On his granny's life it must be. It's a good job his granny's dead. To summarize then, immediately after hearing the voice of the victim, you then hear the gunshot, causing you to stumble and upset the items on the counter, scattering them over the shop floor. Make it sound like we're clumsy. Don't forget we tidied up after like good little boys. Anyways, the way I see it. The bloke who owned the place was holding a gun, so he should have just fired instead of yelling at the girl. So that means Windibank must have had the gun.
Hold it!
You're saying that Mr. Windibank had a gun in his hands? Oh yeah, bet that was a sight, eh? Them two waving guns at each other must have got pretty heated. I mean, just before he shouted out, we heard the geezer say, "If you don't want to get shot." Didn't really sound like he meant it, mind. More of an empty threat, you could say. Mr. Windibank was known to keep a revolver on his shop counter at all times. People say that to protect the articles in his keeping, he'd readily put a bullet in someone's head if required. That someone being himself, of course. Good grief. Extraordinary devotion indeed, if alarmingly misguided. Well, he certainly sounded like he was ready to pull the trigger on the other mite. Only person he was gonna shoot beat him to it. Gooped his goose proper. But he wished he'd squeeze the trigger instead of wasting time shouting, "Give me that gun." It was directly after those words that you heard the gunshot. It was more or less at the same time, Gov. Kind of thing. Very tragically missed. And we heard the sound of someone hitting the deck. Before everything went dead quiet. Are they supposed to be Mario and Luigi? After that, we done the slapdash job tidying the place up. I do get it.
Hold it!
I'm curious. Whereupon you fired a shot from your own gun into Mr. Sherlock Holmes. We was a bit hasty there. We was, Nash, we was. Truth be told, I was already shaking like a leaf when you lot turned up. If you're shaking like a leaf, don't put a loaded gun in your hand. Good advice, miss, good advice. Truth be told, me mind went totally blank. Before your mind goes totally blank, make sure you don't have a loaded gun in your hand. Mental note made, miss. After that, we legged it down the street, but apparently we looked dodgy to the coppers or something, so they clapped the darbies on us like winking. And after you'd been handcuffed, police found this revolver in your possession, correct? Well, yeah. But listen, that proves it, done it, eh? You couldn't have shot the pawnbroker, see? We never even had a chance, did we? I'm wondering... I feel like I should present something here. Because, like, he doesn't have the gun. No, I don't want to be like Erica. I want to actually present evidence with confidence.
Objection!
You're saying that on the night in question, the victim, Mr. Windibank, was wielding a gun, is that correct? That's it, Gov. You got the picture. Yes, Natch, yes, no question. And yet the photographic evidence from the time of the incident clearly shows that Mr. Windibank was not in possession of a firearm of any description.
Objection!
You surprise me. Does the defense really intend to highlight evidence that compromises the position of the accused even more? Furthermore, the defense has failed to establish that the photographic print presented was taken a suitably short time prior to the victim's death. Your chronology is severely lacking, counsel. Yeah, that's right. Too right, Nash, too right. The old geezer could have been about to turn the tables on the girl, eh? Hardly likely. No, I'm afraid this won't stand as conclusive evidence. Continue with the cross-examination. Need my earlier warning, witnesses. Skulkin's never skulkin'. Ah, damn.
Hold it!
So, you didn't try to open the storeroom door then? Not on your life. You went deathly quiet after that, it did. Put the wind right up on me. And anyway, the door was locked, weren't it? No way that was opening. Yes, of course. It was locked from the inside, so we've been led to believe. It was, Gov, it was. From the inside. Right, so we had no way of knowing what was going on in there, did we? Unless there was some other way to get the view of inside the storeroom. Like through a keyhole, or perhaps a spy hole, perhaps? Don't ring no bells, no light, no lights. We had to cut and run before we noticed anything like that. We're still cutting our teeth in this game, see? But one day, we'll really cut the mustard. Please, cut it out. But as we know, behind that door was the victim's lifeless body, with the accused not 2 feet away. Unfortunately. Gina was in there unconscious, with the gun in her hand. To confirm, would it be correct to say that neither of you set foot inside the storeroom? That's right, Gov. That's right. Couldn't have, even if we wanted to. God damn it. That's it? That's the full extent of their testimony? I could pour you some herbal tea if you're tired. Oh, thank you, but I'm fine. Being such a logical thinker, you'll probably laugh, but I feel as though these brothers are still hiding something. Something's important. It's nothing more than a feeling, though. I have no proof to support it. Well, feelings can be very logical at times. People's expressions, the movement of their eyes, the words they choose. You can take all that in and your brain will quietly analyze it to come up with a feeling, like you describe. You concluded that there's something suspicious in this testimony without knowing why. That's all. I think you should trust your instincts. Iris, thank you. Sometimes I think she's 10 years old, I must be 5.
Hold it!
And why should we believe that? What? Well, 'cause it's true, isn't it? The place was totally empty when we went in. At that time, the victim was already in the storeroom, having been forced to open the door by the accuser who had a gun to his head. In other words, on the night in question, these two witnesses never even laid eyes on the proprietor of the pawnbrokery, Mr. Windibank. Correct? You got it, mister. Down to a T. So the Skulkin brothers never actually encountered Mr. Windibank? Is that really true, I wonder? Is there something missing? The doll, the candlestick, the two papers. Wait. The peephole isn't visible here. But it is visible here. That's weird. I don't know if it's relevant right now. I might be stuck. Ah, damn it. Hmm. Like, but he wasn't holding a gun. The timing of this just doesn't make sense to me. Like, I'm thinking 5 steps ahead here, but I need to figure out what this thing is now. Because right now my thought is, like, they're mixing up what they heard because they tried robbing him. Yeah. Because again, I noticed the peephole being visible here, but not this one. But I don't think that's relevant here. Unless it's like... If he didn't have the gun in the storeroom, where was it? What? I mean, my other thought that I'm trying to lean is like, how do they know where everything was exactly? Hello, Tucker. But... God, I don't know.
Objection!
Nope. Do you have any proof he didn't have the gun when he was shot? I mean, yeah. Well, this wasn't when he was shot exactly. This was like just before it. And I think we've already shown this before. Try presenting it again and see.
Objection!
Shielding the gun.
Objection!
Okay, I can't actually load the... Can I load the photos in there? No.
Hold it!
Like, it doesn't make sense for him to be shouting, "If you don't want to get shot, give me the gun." That makes me think that there's two guns on the scene, which the two guns that we have on the scene are Windibanks and these bozos. Can I have another hint? This is the second puzzle. I can't use a hit coin on the second puzzle. What would the professor think? Like, I'm at least focusing on the right statement. Is that that statement or this one? Heard a voice yelling out, "Give me that gun." Single bullet wound from the back. So are they implying that they were facing each other? And the fact they were Yurika, I know you're not watching, but like no.
Objection!
It's probably going to be something very obvious. damn it. I hate to get to the point where I'm just spamming evidence. Statement you need to contradict is a loquat.
Objection!
But we've already gone through this.
Objection!
I am pretty sure I pressed everything.
Hold it!
This is the part about... Yes, I've already read this. Okay, let me start from the beginning then.
Hold it!
I guess the hint there lies in, like, Iris's, well, if you have a feeling about it, you gotta see what they're saying and stuff.
Hold it!
Well, rude. I made fun of you.
Hold it!
How am I missing? I presented the photograph of Gina holding the gun here, but then they just sort of gave me a, you know, this really isn't helping you at all, sort of thing. I also tried presenting the autopsy report, I believe, and the Windibank's gun. Okay. Different piece of evidence. I think I also tried the photograph of Windibank. Just make sure. Yeah. Yep, okay. You've already done this 4 times.
Objection!
God damn it. Wait, no, wrong one. Is it just the photo?
Objection!
I swear to God I've presented this before. So you're saying that on the night in question, the victim, Mr. Windibank, was wielding a gun. Is that correct? That's it, Gov. You got the picture. Yes, Natch, yes, no question. And yet, photographic evidence obtained immediately after the incident clearly shows that Mr. Windibank was not holding a firearm of any description. Yeah, you what? Gordon Benning. That ain't right.
Objection!
There could be no question that the victim's revolver was used in the incident. I would remind the court that Mr. Windibank's gun was found at the scene. Not only was it identified as a murder weapon, but it was found in the accused's hands. Yeah, that mall jeweler used the victim's own gun to finish him off.
Hold it!
Stay exactly where you are, right there. If the crime had taken place as you've so colorfully described in your testimony, it would give rise to an undeniable and significant inconsistency in the final moments you just acted out. Are you sure? You intrigue me, my learned friend, but let's see some evidence to support your claim. Where is the proof that demonstrates this inconsistency with the witness's portrayal of the victim's final moments? Let's see.
Take that!
According to their testimony, the witness claimed to have heard a shout of, "Give me that gun," followed by the gunshot. Indeed, with the two evidence happening almost simultaneously, or so we've been led to believe. Yes, that's right. Now, if that testimony is true, it would mean that at the moment of death, the victim and his attacker would have been facing each other. However, in the autopsy report, it clearly states that the victim died instantly after being shot from behind. So, as I stated before, there is an undeniable inconsistency in your testimony, Mr. and Mr. Skulkin. But it's the God's honest truth. It is, Nash, it is. When we was shot that night, the shopkeeper had a gun in his hand. We saw it with our own bleeding eyes. Did I hear you right just now? You actually saw Mr. Windibank holding a gun? Something like that might have slipped out. Ladies and gentlemen, we have all just heard the admission by these two witnesses that on the night in question, they actually saw, with their own eyes, the victim wielding a gun. Which can only mean that, despite their testimony to the contrary, the Skulkin brothers must have encountered the victim in person. Nash. Explain yourselves at once. Well, the thing is, we weren't supposed to. It would seem that my previous warning fell on deaf ears. I made it quite clear that false witness would be the death of you. Am I to understand that you replaced the untruths of your original testimony with renewed lies? Ever so sorry, Governor. Truth is, see, we, Cut it out, Nash, cut it out. If he blabbed now, you know what he'll do to us. He? Who are they talking about? Let me make your position here perfectly clear. You will talk. There is no other option available to you. Bro, come on, the game's up. But he'll have our guts for garters. In case it hasn't quite sunk in yet, no matter how hard you try to hide it, the truth will come out. On the night in question, it is now apparent that you brothers met face to face with the victim. I demand that you testify again to explain the precise circumstances under which this meeting took place. Well... Sorry, Tucker, I just need my blanket. Oh no. No. Everything fell on top of him. Oh no. I need my blankie. Do we have to? On pain of death. I suggest you make yourselves fully aware that this is your very last chance to tell the truth. Alright. This sounds more frantic. Alright, so we just got inside the gaff and heaved a sigh of relief when the geezer showed his mug. Give me that gun, he bellowed, and then he flew at us like he was possessed. I thought we had it. For an old geezer, the bloke was strong as an ox. He chucked me over the counter. I pulled me gun on him, and then he legged it through that door in the back room. We never had anything to do with him. That's all what happened, I swear. So you're now telling us that moments before the victim was killed in the storeroom, you in fact encountered him in the main part of the shop? Well, yeah. Sorry. Well... Wait, hold on. I think I know what happened. He shot at them when they came in. No. Is the blood... Could that blood on the calendar be one of theirs? Like... My thought is he shot at them with his gun. Grazed one of them or something. And then they went after him. Or something like that. Sorry about that. This changes matters considerably. This time, Nash, this time. We ain't got nothing more to hide. Very well, counsel for the defense, you may proceed with your cross-examination. Yes, my lord. This is it. The moment I've been waiting for.
Hold it!
When you say geezer, I presume you mean the victim and the proprietor of the shop, Mr. Windibank? Who else? Sorry, I mean, that's right. He was keeping a close eye on the entrance to the gaff, obviously. We never thought no one was going to come out of the back room like that. The back room being the pawnbrokery storeroom? Yeah, so that must be where he popped from. Only place he could have been. So it seemed the victim was already in the storeroom when these brothers entered the premises. Which means Ginny must have been there at that point as well. That doesn't make sense, does it? Gina had threatened Mr. Windibank into the storeroom with her at gunpoint. Then why would he have emerged from the same room all alone when the brothers arrived? I don't know. Did you see the accused at that time? What, that mall jeweler? Couldn't tell you. No way, Cobber. We had bigger fish to fry then. I mean, the old geezer just lost it. You mentioned that Mr. Windibank shouted those words in your previous testimony, too. However, you claimed that you heard him yelling them on the other side of the storeroom door. Oh, did we? But the truth is, he was shouting those words at you, wasn't he? Well, yeah. Was the victim, Mr. Windibank, wielding a gun at the time? Was he ever? Blimey lummy. Great ugly barrel he had, pointed straight at me frontispiece. So what you're saying is, you definitely saw Mr. Windibank with a gun at that time. It is good. It is. Spot on. And all of a sudden he came at us, he did. It was bedlam. I didn't know who was going for who. We were clearly all going for each other. Like Nash said, we thought we'd had it. I mean... Yes, I noted that you mentioned the counter in your previous testimony, too. Well, yeah, of course we did. We knocked over a load of books, candlestick, and some skull whatnot. Got tangled in some marionette, what knocked over a picture frame, what knocked them scales on the floor. So in fact, it wasn't the sound of the gunshot that shocked you and made you knock those things off the counter. Big bruv here went flying over the counter like a gunshot, I tell you. Then the old geezer pinned him. He did, Nash, he did. If he hadn't been there, the bloke would have flattened me like a bloomin' pancake in seconds. The time in question, the alarm was raised at the local police station via secret cable from the pawnbrokery. There's a button under the counter used to activate it, which is presumably pressed by the victim. That's right, when the brothers fled the scene and back into the street, they ran straight into the arriving police, didn't they? Poor Mr. Windibank, he did everything he could to protect his shop. Were you intending to shoot Mr. Windibank? Nah, never. I was just, you know, looking out for me bruv, weren't I? Because he was being flattened, don't forget. By a man whose shop was being burgled, yes. And then, the man fled into the storeroom when you pointed your gun at him, is that it? Yeah, that's it. Shoved me away, then ran off through that door and shut himself in. Something about that last remark. Something that doesn't quite ring true. I wonder why Mr. Windibank ran away into the storeroom. Well, according to what everyone's saying, Ginny was in there waiting for him with a gun. But she had to be let in there by him. In which case, how did the gun end up in Mr. Windybank's hands again? Look, the point is, me and my bruv here. That's right, Nash, that's right, me and my bruv here.
Hold it!
Abuser went and shut himself in the back room, didn't he? Locked it was, from the inside. We know it was because we tried to open it. But it's a decent door, that one. Good and strong, wouldn't punch an inch. So in the end, the situation remains unchanged. Inside the storeroom of the pawnbroker, there was only one other person. The sole person who could possibly have shot the victim, the accused, Miss Gina Lestrade. It would indeed appear so. What say you to that, Counsel? I don't know. Is there anyone else apart from Gina who could have possibly shot Mr. Windybank? Could have been. What's that look for? From the moment you admitted that you'd encountered the victim face to face that night, the course of this trial changed completely. What is your point, my learned friend? The question we must answer is, who could have shot Mr. Windybank? And it is the belief of the defense that the defendant is not the only possible answer at all. You have my attention. In that case, let us return to the plan of the premises. The victim was killed in the storeroom, which was locked from the inside. These are the facts. So pray, what other possible answer to the question of who shot the man could there be? Counsel, you must now provide answers to the court in respect to the two conundrums. Two, my lord? Twice as many chances to be right, maybe? Indeed, namely, from what location did the culprit shoot the victim? Furthermore, where was the victim at the time? Are you alright? Not entirely sure. There's one thing I am sure about. If I can prove that there's credible new alternative to what actually happened, it would change Gina's prospects hugely. So now, time for some clarity. Show the court on this plan the answers to the questions posed by his lordship. He believes someone else could have killed the victim. Indicate from where that person could have fired the gun. Okay. The diagram shows that he died over here. My thought is that they closed... Like, Windybank closed the door. They went through the peephole, shot him, probably the younger brother because it had like an upward trajectory. He collapsed over here. Ginny was in this room, grabbed the gun to defend herself, not knowing that there was no bullets left in that. So that means where the person could have fired the gun would have to be here. The defense believes that the culprit could have shot the victim from this location here. And in answer to the second question, assuming the culprit fired from the location indicated, where was the victim at the time?
Take that!
The culprit shot the victim from outside the storeroom. Continue. Mr. Windybank died instantly from a bullet wound in his back. Looking at the stain of blood on the storeroom floor, it doesn't appear the body was moved after death, which tells us he was almost certainly shot while he was in the storeroom. However, the crucial point is, where was the shooter when the fatal bullet was fired? So you are adamant. The shot was fired from outside the storeroom? Well, according to the Skulkin brothers' earlier testimony. I pulled me gun on him, and then he legged it through that door into the back room. If Mr. Windibank ran away through the door, we have to assume that the door was open at the time. It was precisely at that moment, when the victim was fleeing for his life, that these brothers had the perfect opportunity to shoot the man in the back once he was in the storeroom. So, Gia was probably trying to just keep them out and protect herself. Come to think of it, do you remember what the prosecutor said at the start of the trial? The bullet entered the body on a rising diagonal trajectory. It means the victim was likely shot by someone significantly shorter in height than himself. Poor man, shot while he was running as fast as he could to safety. Of course, he would have been leaning forward as he was running away, so even if the bullet was fired horizontally, it still would have entered his body on an upward trajectory. So the culprit isn't necessarily someone shorter than Mr. Windibank.
Objection!
I'm sure my learned friend can't have forgotten that the storeroom door was found closed and locked from the inside. He claimed the victim was shot as he fled into the storeroom. Did he also claim his corpse was dexterous enough to turn the key in the lock? What if someone else locked the door? Yes, there is someone else who could have locked the storeroom door. Is that so? In which case, who shut and locked the storeroom door from the inside?
Take that!
Obviously, the person who locked the door was the only other person inside the storeroom at the time. The defendant, Miss Gina Lestrade.
Objection!
That's absurd. You're suggesting that the accused deliberately engineered the sealed room? For what possible reason? Such actions would only serve to tighten the noose around her neck. I am inclined to agree, I must say. Well, counsel? Yes. That's a tricky one, that, isn't it? Half-baked notions have no place in my courtroom, counsel. Remember that, please. But of course Ginny would have locked the door. It almost goes without saying, doesn't it? It does? Well, if I was Ginny in that situation, I know I would have locked the door as quickly as I could. I mean, those two burglars had just fired a gun in her direction, hadn't they? Obviously. Before the two brothers arrived, Miss Lestrade and Mr. Windibank were in the storeroom together. Now, I don't know what went on between them at that time, but at some point, Mr. Windibank must have heard the intruders breaking into his shop and left the storeroom. Intruders, eh? That's us, bruv. If your theory is correct, that would leave the accused alone in the storeroom. Yes, it would. Then, probably only moments later, the victim fled back through the storeroom door, hoping to escape danger. Hit in the back by the bullet, Mr. Windibank fell to the floor where he was, just inside the storeroom. And what do we have to ask ourselves now is, what would the defendant have done in that moment? I see where you're going with this. Outside the storeroom was a terrifying killer who had just murdered Mr. Windibank. As soon as that thought struck Miss Lestrade, she slammed the door shut and locked it, in order to save her own life.
Hold it!
But we ain't the ones who done it. We ain't, Gov, we ain't. You gotta believe us. I mean, come on, we never shoot no one. That's blatantly untrue. I know for a fact you would. Because before my own eyes, you shot Mr. Erlock Sholmes. There's only one logical conclusion here. Mr. and Mr. Skulkin, you brothers had every opportunity to have been the true perpetrators of Mr. Windibank's murder. The only thing I'm thinking is that they fired only one bullet. And if that bullet hit Sholmes, then they couldn't have shot him. Where does this leave us? You mean to say it wasn't the pickpocket who shot the pawnbroker after all? I should have known it was those three brothers. They look as shady as a dense forest. That was amazing, Bruno. All the members of the jury seem to be firmly on your side now. I know! First time ever! And probably the last. Well, I think you've done it. Surely you have to get the verdict of not... An admirable effort, my learned friend. What's this now? He's laughing? You find the situation amusing, Lord Van Zykes? I myself find the defense's argument most persuasive. I dare say such chicanery is the bread and butter of the street performers in your provincial eastern nation. But such blatantly malicious conjuring tricks amount to nothing more than inexcusable pettifoggery here. What? The hypothesis you put forward is so ostensibly, credibly cannot, and will not stand. Because, you see, it contains a fatal flaw. Do you mean to tell me that you're unaware of your logic's failing? The fatal flaw in my learned friend's argument is really very simple to understand. Assuming you're not too dim-witted to count bullets. Oh dear. He noticed then. Counsel. Yes, sir. Tell the court, how many bullets were found at the scene of the crime? Two. 2 bullets. Wait a minute. Could the bullet still be in Sholmes? Like, did the bullet have to be extracted from him? Because if the bullet had to be extracted, that means that there'd be 3 bullets at the scene, and thus, a 3rd gun. The second, which struck the detective, Mr. Herlock Sholmes, on his arrival at the scene. Indeed, the defense presented a picture showing the damage caused by the second bullet earlier in the proceedings. The bullet which injured Mr. Sholmes appeared to have passed through his body to strike the calendar. Your lordship's understanding is correct. Furthermore, we know there are 2 firearms involved in the incident. The revolver belonging to the victim, and the Skulkin brothers' revolver. The evidence shows that a single bullet was fired from each gun. Single bullet from each? Now then, my learned friend. You yourself told the court only moments ago that these 2 brothers shot Mr. Herlock Sholmes right in front of your eyes. Yes, I did. Oh my goodness. I think you'll find that if the single bullet that was fired from the brothers' gun hit Mr. Sholmes, it means Windenbank not shot by the same gun. Only 1 bullet. Exactly. Yes, this Nipponese street performer presented an ostensibly credible argument. However, it was never anything more than a diversionary trick with no hope of standing up to scrutiny. I mean, then we really have to figure out if that's Sholmes' blood on the calendar. Pray forgive the discourtesy of flinging the dregs of this hallowed nectar into the public gallery, Lord Van Zykes. But this court needs to open its eyes. The accused, Miss Gina Lestrade, is no ordinary little girl. Despite her young years, she can, regrettably, no longer be described as a juvenile. No, the person in the dock is far from a law-abiding citizen. She's a past riddled with criminal conduct. The truth is, the accused broke into the pawnbrokery on the night in question with loathsome intent. As we can see beyond doubt in this print, which depicts her threatening the victim with the murder weapon. And I have here in my possession one more piece of evidence that the prosecution wishes to present. That disc. No, don't give it to him. It's mine, that is. Mine. Sorry, miss. Anything belonging to McGilded has to be taken in as evidence now. It's that music box disc. The very day before the hateful murder of Mr. Windibank, the accused attempted to make off with this article, which clearly doesn't belong to her. With none of the subtlety of a pickpocket, I might add, but by brute force and brazen impudence. Make no mistake, any sympathy for the accused on account for her years is misguided and dangerous. There are no depths to which this girl would not stoop if pushed, no crime she would not commit. The court forgets the fact at its peril. I see. I think it would be prudent to take this music box disc into evidence, counsel. It's a grim testament of the defendant's character. Lauren Van Zykes! Inspector Gregson? Yes, Inspector. We had a meeting yesterday at the yard with the prosecution service, and, I think I agreed that the disc wouldn't be used as evidence. What's this all about? Why is the Inspector acting strangely? That's the first time he said anything to Van Zykes at all. I am unaware of any such meeting. But those were the instructions, right from the top. The government bigwigs were insistent. I'd probably go drinking with Godot. Inspector, I am the prosecutor, and I alone determine how to present my case. Your warning is noted. Thank you. The prosecution wishes to proceed with submitting this disc as evidence, my lord. Indeed, bailiff. Prosecution has established the accused's motive, opportunity, and baseness of character. Whose blood is this? Actually, I feel as though I might have noticed that before. Then it's my time to shine again. Thought I'd be waiting forever. Hold still with that disc. Can we get this done quickly? In a flash. A lovely bright shade again. What is it? It's just that green. It's not the first time we've seen it. That's the one that's on the calendar. For McGilded. It's the man you defended in court a couple months ago, isn't it? Yes, or rather, mistakenly defended. Wonder what his name is doing on the back of this disc. It's a question I'd love to know the answer to myself. I forget who we... I remember it came up because Sholmes was like, yeah, there's like a lot of sharp divots. What happened with the disc? Well, it was originally in Mr. McGilded's jacket. He gave it to Gina with the instruction of bringing it to Windibanks to pawn it. Then in 2 months, get it back. So Gina went in, got the coat with the disc. The gentleman, the JoJo gentleman tried taking, he took the jacket. Didn't fit him. He tried taking the disc with it. So is this the JoJo's blood? because he cut himself trying to grab it. And Gina yanked it out of his hands pretty forcefully. Yeah, this is the JoJo's blood. Please, gentlemen of the jury, I await your informed decisions and rest my case. I had the jury on my side for once, for all of 5 minutes. Oh dear, it wasn't even for 5 minutes. My lord, I wonder if I might say something at this point. Proceed, Mr. Foreman. Been stumbling about in a bit of a fog until now, if truth be told, but all of a sudden, the answer's bally obvious to me and my men, and there's only one thing for it. Very well, the court will hear from the jury. Ladies and gentlemen, you will present your leanings as the defendant's culpability.
Guilty.
Guilty.
Guilty. Guilty.
Guilty.
Guilty.
Damn it. We have eliminated the impossible. Whatever remains must be the truth. That's my line. I wrote that for Hurley. Ugh, how dare he use it against us? Don't worry, Iris. I don't think we're finished yet. There's still more to this case than we realize. There must be, because there's one thing that I'm absolutely certain of. Gina didn't shoot Mr. Windibank. That's beyond any doubt. Very well. Oh, so when Erica was playing Dual Destinies, over on the final trial, I was watching her play for a good chunk of it, and there's a point where Apollo like does that, you know, crosses his arm, tilts his head back, and he's like, "Evidence is everything." I'm like, thank God you told me, V, because I wouldn't have remembered. I'll notice it myself, but I remember that's like him taking after Kristoff. It's, so cool. See, with the second summation examination of the day, Mr. Foreman. Oh, I didn't even have to ask for it this time. Ladies and gentlemen of the jury, you will each explain on what grounds you now have determined the defendant to be guilty. This rogue always a rogue. Different breed to us law-abiding citizens. If 2 bullets were found at the scene, I would say the whole case is done and dusted. Don't need a stereoscope to see the truth here. For every way which you look at it, it was that pickpocket. I never imagined that simple operation would cause me such grief. The accused attempted a theft on the previous day. See, I'm in for a busy day ahead. I am ballistics expert. I have seen many shootings. There is nothing I do not know about guns. Seeing there is a little remaining room for doubt. I have to admit, I was rather bowled over by the argument put forward by the chap in black. When that fell apart like a house of cards, I saw that jolly well I'd been hoodwinked. Well, no more. The whole courtroom is turning against me. It's not fair. That prosecutor's being mean. Just because Ginny's done something she shouldn't have done in the past, that doesn't make her a murderer. Allow me to savor this fruity vintage while I savor the spectacle of your fruitless debate on the matter. Here's to the truth coming out, eventually. That's enough preamble. Counsel, proceed with the summation examination. Yes, my lord. I felt like the font was different there. Nope.
Hold it!
Just because Miss Lestrade has a history of pickpocketing, she must be guilty of murder. Is that what you're saying? Ah, well. Are all members of the British Army so quick to judge? I beg your pardon? Are you mocking Her Majesty's Armed Forces, the greatest military organization in the world? No, I'm simply illustrating my point. Making assumptions about people just because they're a soldier or a pickpocket is wrong and dangerous. Well, yes. Might have a point there, I suppose. Let's not forget the girl had already shown she had it in her from before. She's clearly a criminal sort through and through. Can't deny it. When you say that she'd shown she had it in her, are you referring to this? Exactly. Tried to swipe that only a day earlier, Or am I mistaken? Not exactly. Given that I was actually there at the time, it's hard to refute that. I've never actually seen the real thing. Can't wait to have a closer look at it. Mr. Sholmes did use his caramel bars to make a copy of the disc, didn't he? Then he ordered every type of music box he could find from across Europe. Still don't know what tune it plays, though, do we? But I'd love to see how the original compares to Hurley's copy. Gilded's disc. Could be a clue somehow? Perhaps we should examine it in more detail. I did already.
Hold it!
It's a number of bullets that has you convinced. Only 2 bullets were fired, and the 2 guns that fired them have been examined by the police. When the parlor maid asks me how many are invited for dinner, I always tell her to count the table settings. Well, that's logical, I suppose. Although, sometimes after dining, crockery does go missing. 1 or 2 guests rather like the fine china. Does your employer dine with thieves? So I suppose, if there was another bullet somewhere of which we were unaware, I'd have to reconsider my position. Could that be possible? I don't know if I can prove it right now. Fortunately, only 2 bullets were discovered by the police during their investigation. If I missed the bullet while I was cleaning his lordship's office, well, I should receive a sound scolding, I don't doubt. You should receive a visit from the police, perhaps. Sounds like a crime scene to me. You'd completely turn things around if there was one, wouldn't it? Do you think we might find one lying around somewhere? It's the one that we got from, like, there's one in Sholmes.
Hold it!
So if I understood correctly, you need 2 pictures, a left eye one and a slightly different right eye one. And you can see the scene in 3 dimensions. Like this. So, if we have 2 bullets, I don't suppose you can see anything useful with them. I think you'll find, no matter how much you squint, the truth of the situation always looks the same here. The only person who could have shot the victim is that girl on the dock. How can you be so sure of that? Think about it. The Skulkin brothers shot the great detective, didn't they? Yes, that's been mentioned once or twice. Well then, surely it's coming into focus now, isn't it? Yeah, no. You've already did it once with this guy.
Hold it!
Wait, if this is a surgeon that operated on Sholmes, maybe we can get that out of him. Would you please stop muttering about things that have nothing to do with the trial, sir? The defendant's life is on the line here. Well, the thing is, I couldn't really say that it's nothing to do with this trial, to be honest. Huh? I mean, there's no question to the man that was shot. The bullet had simply vanished from his stomach. It's quite inexplicable, don't you think? I almost don't want to ask, but the surgery you've been muttering about all this time, you were operating on... What was the fellow's name now? Ehrlich? No. Erlock? No. Herlock? Erlock Sholmes, by any chance? Yes! Good lord! Is that Herlock fellow? You're the surgeon that operated on Mr. Sholmes? That's right, using the very latest anesthesia techniques, I might add. It's a fairly major op, I can tell you. It's crazy. Maybe the fellow was brought in not long after midnight, if I remember correctly. Said he'd been shot by some criminal or other, so I opened him up like a shot. The funny thing is, I went over his insides with a fine-tooth comb, but couldn't find the bullet anyway. So I'm afraid I had to throw up my hands and just stitch the fellow back up. I hate to state the obvious, but... Yes? Surely that's because the bullet is still at the scene of the shooting. Counsel of the defense is correct. Clearly shown in this photographic print, the bullet that his Skulkin brothers fired at Mr. Sholmes hit him in the stomach region and exited his body and lodged in the shop wall, but the calendar was hanging by the door. I think you'll find it's really quite simple if you just consider the problem three-dimensionally. Who do you think I am, son? Well, Jern, and before it's about the best I can do. As soon as I saw the wounds in a man's stomach, I flipped them over. Like a pancake? Are you saying you checked his back? Of course I did. And there wasn't a trace of injury. No sign that the bullet had left the body at all. That's the point. The only logical conclusion was that the bullet is still somewhere in the man's innards, which is exactly why I was set about slicing him up. And I'm still none the wiser even now. How many times do I have to say it? Can someone please explain how it happened? Can someone please solve the mystery? It's almost as much of a mystery as how this jury was put together. Where's the expert when you need one?
Hold it!
I thought you were just a tourist. Good day. I am visiting London for sightseeing. I would like to take bus to Crystal Tower, please. There's no way he's just a visiting tourist. So, you're a ballistics expert? Who knew? I have much experience with guns. I have lived through many, how do you say, extreme, violent blood of, extreme violent bloodbaths, perhaps. Those. Extreme violent bloodbaths. English is very difficult, Tom. Considering the sort of people you associate with, I'm surprised you still have a tongue. Anyways, if you have questions about bullets and guns, you ask me. There is nothing I do not know. No mystery I cannot solve. He's very confident in his knowledge of guns, that's for sure. But, if possible, please, only in Russian language. He's not very confident in his knowledge of English, though, is he? No. Still, we should bear it in mind. Sorry, man, if there's a mystery about guns or bullets.
Objection!
What? Might have to listen what they have to say a few times. Alright, well, we didn't actually talk to the juror number 5. Wait! I fucked up.
Objection!
I mixed them up. Those two statements clearly contradict. The idea that all I do is pit jurors against each other. Oh, ballistics expert. Pitting... P-I-T-T. On the night in question, Mr. Sholmes was shot by one of the Skulkin brothers. But since there was no sign of an exit wound on his back, we must assume that the bullet didn't pass through him. However, no bullet was found lodged in Mr. Sholmes' body either. Furthermore, a bullet was found lodged in the wall of the shop where Mr. Sholmes was shot. Juror number 6. Hello, my name is Violent. Pleased to meet you. The apparent contradiction in the facts that is so clearly troubling juror number 4. Are you able to explain the mystery? I have seen very similar situation in Motherland. It was night. There was blizzard. I was running away along Mountain Road in freezing cold. Golly. The snow was piling high on both sides of the road. It was very narrow and dangerous. My pursuers had hunting rifles and were on dog sleds. Mental note. Don't ask too many questions. I was shot from behind and fell down in snow. The situation was very similar to what I hear today from doctor. They could not find bullet in my body, and no sign of, how do you say, exit wound. Then where did the bullet go? Bullet never hit me. Well, if it never hit you, why did you fall down? Bullet hit frozen wall of ice very close to my side. What? One small piece, very sharp, broke away from the lump of ice and pierced my body. It made deep wound that looks just like bullet wound. God gracious. Of course, piece of ice quickly melted inside me. That is solution to mystery of disappearing bullet. But that doesn't answer the question at all. A shooting happened in the pawnbroker's shop. Not some snowy mountain road in another country. Just an idea, but we might not be looking at exactly the same scenario here. Runo, where exactly was Hurley shot again? Well, according to the report, his stomach. Sort of around this area, I think. Well, that's precisely where he always wears a little pouch on his belt. A pouch? Actually, I might have noticed something like that. Yes, a pouch. It's where he keeps 3 glass vials of very dangerous chemicals that he uses in his investigations. Doctor, where was the pouch that Mr. Sholmes was wearing? Well, the fellow had nothing like that on his person when he arrived at the hospital, as far as I remember. If I may, Lord Van Zykes. Well, I realize it is forbidden for the prosecution to interject during summation examination. I should inform the defense I have the pouch in question in the antechamber outside the courtroom. Sorry? As I understand it, when the police arrived on the scene and found Mr. Sholmes injured, they removed the pouch in order to assess the wound. Ah, thank goodness. I thought I was getting forgetful for a moment. Since then, it has been in my safekeeping along with all other evidence relating to the case. I can personally vouch for the fact it has not been touched since the incident occurred. Very well. While extremely unconventional during a summation examination, I must demand the prosecution presents the item in question with all speed. Bring forth Mr. Erlock Sholmes' pouch. So then it must have his blood on it. This is the pouch worn by Mr. Sholmes on the night in question, is it? One of the files is broken and the leather around it is scorched black. It's almost as if the file exploded. So that night, the bullet from the Skulkin brothers' gun struck Mr. Sholmes' pouch. And it was the glass file exploding that caused the fellow's injury. This bullet did not penetrate the victim, but was deflected into a wall of shop. A delightfully complex aroma. Well, it would appear one mystery has been solved at least. Though it has no bearing on the truth of this case. The bungling and burgling brothers shot the detective, and the accused shot the pawnbroker. The pertinent facts of the case remain unaltered. But at least the mystery is solved. I can sleep easy tonight. Thank you, young man. Da, thank you very much. Glad I could help. Hurley's pouch isn't scruffy. There's a hole here at the back. Doesn't look like a bullet hole, but clearly something's ripped through the leather with great force. Something must have pierced it somehow to left this hole behind. Looks like way. Mr. Sholmes and his pouch both took a beating, didn't they? I was hoping some of his blood would be on here. These glass vials are full of Early's homemade potions. Yes, like fingerprint powder to show up where people haven't touched things. And scent-amplifying solution to intensify a smell lingering on an object. They're all very easy to use. There's just one thing you have to be careful of. They're all very flammable. Mr. Sholmes is a walking bomb. Whether he's passionate about finding out the truth, or just oblivious to the dangers. It's really scorched badly right here. The strap is broken. Must be where the bullet hit then. Let me see. Oh, there's the bullet! Iris, look! Behind where the broken file was. Do you see it? That's the Skulkin Brothers bullet. There were 3 bullets fired at Windibanks that night. Please, my lord. A little more time. After all, it's a new piece of evidence. Could be a valuable clue. We can't afford to overlook anything here. There's still a way to turn this around somehow. I'm sure of it.
Hold it!
Now I can prove it. The 3rd bullet.
Take that!
Here it is. We discovered it just now. Yes, on the night in question in Windibank's pawnbrokery, another bullet was fired.
Hold it!
What is this new trickery, you Nepalese conjurer? Where did you find that bullet? It was lodged inside Mr. Sholmes' pouch. This pouch was removed from around Mr. Sholmes' waist before he was taken to the hospital. And since then, it has been touched by no one. Do you mean to say, a shot fired by the Skulkin brothers that night? Yes, as your lordship has surmised, it hit this pouch. But that makes no sense whatsoever. We already know where the whereabouts of the bullet fired at Mr. Sholmes. It's clearly visible in this photographic print. 2 guns from the scene have already been submitted to the court record as evidence. An examination of both guns revealed that only a single bullet had been fired from each. But that must mean... That's right. We now know that on the night in question, 3 bullets were fired. However, only 2 bullets were fired from the guns recovered from the crime scene. Until that incontrovertible inconsistency is somehow explained, we cannot and must not pass judgment. While the summation examination remains incomplete, the court has been presented with new facts. Facts that would appear to shake the very foundations upon which the case against the defendant has been built. As my prerogative in this situation, I hereby temporarily suspend the summation examination. What? Bailiff, bring the witnesses back to the stand at once. Witnesses. Governor, were you listening to proceedings while the defense carried out the summation examination? We was, Governor, we was. Perhaps we can dispense with the tedious preamble. Simply answer this one question. A 3rd bullet has been identified at the scene of the crime. What do you make of that? Make of it, Gov? I don't make nothing of it if I can help it. Is it one of yours? Gorblimey, Gov. Gorblimey, not a chance. In that case, did you have an accomplice? What? What? Never. The Skulkin brothers work alone. Just the 2 of us. That's our trademark. How soon we forget poor Sulky. Only 2 of the bullets from the crime scene originated from the firearms we have in evidence. The 3rd bullet was fired from another gun. Where is it? Mummy, that's a head scratcher. Counsel for the defense? Yes? I should like to hear your thoughts regarding these new developments. 3rd bullet, and the mysterious missing firearm from whence it came. Thinking back over all the testimony we've heard and all the evidence we've seen, I think I'm starting to form a picture of what really happened that night. My lord, I think it's clear what this 3rd bullet tells us about the Skulkin brothers. He had a secret accomplice. On that night at Windibank's pawnbrokery, the brothers must have been working with a third man. The witnesses are clearly doing their best to cover up the existence of this accomplice. But the evidence all points to the fact there was someone else present. Someone carrying a gun.
Objection!
An accomplice, you say? Pig swill. Protracted proceedings have already forced us to endure 2 summation examinations. Yet in all that time, there has been not a murmur of a third man. If this apparently wraith-like being exists, the court must be shown hard evidence. Without it, this fantasy will be crushed. The prosecution demands answers on 2 counts. Firstly, proof, evidence, that this accomplice was ever at the scene of the crime. Secondly, the identity of the spurious character. Skulkins are lying. I know that. But how can I ascertain the identity of the person they're hiding? I'm supposed to prove the existence of this accomplice to reveal the person's identity. I'm ready to present answers. I believe I can provide all the answers the prosecution demands. So, my Nibonese friend, despite the swimming eyes, you seem to think you have something to say. This promises to be interesting. I have to push forward now. There's no other option. And use every single piece of evidence available to me if it'll make a difference. In that case, counsel, I ask you to present the evidence without delay. On the night in question, and the moments leading up to the death of the victim, what proof have you that there was a third intruder present at the scene?
Take that!
The evidence is right here, in this portfolio. My portfolio again, is it? Do you expect the court to rifle through your papers itself? Be more specific. You claim one of those blood samples proves the presence of a third intruder. Well, which one is it?
Take that!
What am I looking at here? This appears to be some green paint or such like around the bullet hole. That's a bloodstain, my lord. Bloodstain. Green blood? Curious, even for you. Is the court to understand that the intruder was some unhuman creature? It's something developed by Mr. Erlach Sholmes. By the great detective! New invention, not yet appeared in stories. It's this, you see. It doesn't have a name yet, though. It's a fogger that sprays a chemical that reacts with the different elements in people's blood to change its color. Different elements? People's blood? Yes, everyone's blood is slightly different, you see, because it's made up of different elements. So by seeing what color it changes to, you can tell in a flash whose blood it is. That brings a whole extra dimension to looking at blood. Talk of blood in courtroom. Very exciting. An example, this one shows the blood of the victim, Mr. Windibank. Ah, striking blue. Yes, so you see, the green color of this bloodstain on the calendar shows that someone else was shot in the main part of the shop. Now hold the fire there, young man. Could be from some unrelated incident, couldn't it? No, it's not unrelated. The date showing on the calendar is the date on which Mr. Windibank was killed. Therefore, we can assume that whoever was shot on the same day. But whose blood is it? Well, the Skulkin brothers in the stand don't appear to be suffering from any gunshot injuries. Which means it must be the blood of someone else. The third intruder, in fact.
Objection!
Whose identity the court is still waiting to hear. You can't delay this any longer, my learned friend. Who is this alleged third intruder? Eggert Benedict.
Take that!
The man's name is Eggert Benedict. Who on earth are you talking about? He paid a visit to Windibank's pawnbrokery on the afternoon before the incident took place, when the accused attempted to deceive the pawnbroker into releasing this article into her possession. That's right. The man identified by the defense, Mr. Egbert Benedict, then attempted to take the article from the defendant by force. This filthy pocket thief has just redeemed an article from you. Inspector Gregson was there at the time and can attest to what happened. In the end, it was the inspector himself who took the disc. Can you corroborate this account, Inspector? Yes, my lord. That's more or less what happened. And in the interest of being thorough, I asked Windibank for a print showing the fellow. Taken from one of his red-handed recorder gubbinses. Yes, that's him talking to Mr. Windibank that morning. And you claim this man is the brother's accomplice? Well, Mr. and Mr. Skulkin? Never seen the gizzard before in my life. On me life, Gov, on me life. Never seen him. Well, somewhat unsurprisingly, it appears our witnesses disagree with the assertion. I'm sure your lordship recalls my learned Nipponese friend's actual assertion, which was what he could prove the identity of the alleged accomplice. Yes, and I can. Then show us the evidence. I agree, we must see proof of the clean-cut gentleman in the photograph as the filthy criminal you say he is. This is the last piece of evidence. I had a feeling that something has been missing in this trial from the very start, and now I'm gonna drag kicking and screaming into the courtroom.
Take that!
As I mentioned before, on the afternoon of the day in question, the defendant attempted, deceitfully, admittedly, to reclaim this disc from Windibanks, which is when the aforementioned Eggert Benedict appeared onto the scene, I believe. This man then attempted to purloin the article from the defendant's possession, no? That is correct, my lord. I myself was present at the time. It was following this that a minor incident occurred. Of course, sir. Here's the disc for you. Then I shall bid you farewell. Say goodbye to style. Wait a minute. That disc is mine. What do you think you're doing, you little tramp? You've drawn blood, you filthy animal. Being a music box disc, it has countless of small but sharp metal protrusions over its surface. The protrusions caused Mr. Benedict's finger to bleed. The resulting smear of blood is still visible on the disc now. A bloodstain, is it? My assistant and I have just analyzed the bloodstain here in this very courtroom, using my trusty fogger gun. Yes, and we added the results to this portfolio. It's green. It's exactly the same color as the blood around the calendar. The evidence is conclusive. The man calling himself Mr. Eggert Benedict, who was at Windibanks earlier in the day, is the accomplice who was present at the scene of the crime that same night. There was someone else there. Look at those two brothers now. They're sweating buckets. Oi, who are you talking about? It's boiling in here. My lord, it is of the opinion of the defense that Mr. Eggert Benedict should be summoned to the courtroom to testify. It would certainly seem that we can ill afford to ignore this gentleman's apparent presence.
Objection!
This has gone on long enough now. Flagrant ignorance of the mechanics of the law. Sherlock Sholmes, you say? Yes, I've heard the name. Protagonist in a series of short stories for vulgar classes. A god of detection or some such. And now you employ chemical substances divided by this fantastical persona in the highest court of the land? Do you expect us to take you seriously? The samples made by this plaything are not fit to be called evidence. So the bloodstain turned a shade of greed. What of it? Here's to you successfully proving that no other blood in the world could turn the same color. And pray, do not even think of suggesting that we should take Mr. Sholmes' word for it. Is he right? Is Mr. Sholmes' concoction a load of rubbish? I don't know. I mean, he is a great detective. What are you talking about? We can't let him get away with that. I knew it would come to this. Of course, Mr. Sholmes' invention isn't going to be recognized by any official body. But what other choice did I have? I'm just remembering what Father Christmas over there said before. About how he was temporarily suspending the summation examination. In other words, the examination isn't over yet, is it? Good grief. What did you just say, young girl? In the summation examination, the decision as to whether or not the trial continues is in the hands of the 6 jurors, isn't it? It's the way I see it. It doesn't matter what certain other people think of Hurley's invention. At least, not for now. You have quite the devious mind. It really just comes down to one thing. Whether these ladies and gentlemen of the jury are convinced by what you say. Is that about right? What'd you say? Or did I misunderstand something? Unbelievable. Mr. Sholmes' partner is a force to be reckoned with. Iris Wilson, sharpshooter. After that shrewd process of situation from an entirely unexpected source, it must be acknowledged that the previous summation examination has yet to reach its conclusion. This is absurd. Ladies and gentlemen of the jury, the court now looks to you for your final leanings in this matter. As proud citizens of Her Majesty's Britain, I'm sure you will come to fair and just conclusions. So then, state your final decisions in turn, please.
Not guilty.
Not guilty.
Not guilty.
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 Not guilty.
Hey, we're doing pretty good. 2 called guilty, and 4 called not guilty. Such is the outcome of the summation examination.
Objection!
My lord, with all due respect, this is an outrage. The prosecution refuses to accept this decision. On what grounds? If these jurors are persuaded by some half-baked concoction devised by a pretender to do real police work, then they are too ignorant to be trusted with the judgment of anyone's guilt. I'm sorry, Lord Van Zykes, but the outcome of the summation examination cannot be ignored. This trial will continue. Nevertheless, we find ourselves in a rather awkward situation. Defense has very reasonably requested a subpoena of a new witness. But sadly, I fear that will be impossible. What? The name of the gentleman gave for himself, Egbert Benedict, is quite clearly false. I don't believe it. Just when I'd managed to prove the man was there at the night. Could I say something? Who was that? Who spoke? It was me, my lord. Juror number 5? Mambo number 5? What have you to say, ma'am? If possible, Inspector. I wonder if you might show the photographic print to me again, the one in which the gentleman is shown. Ah, right, yes. This one, you mean. Of Mr. Benedict? Yes. There's no doubt in my mind. Juror number 5, you don't mean to say you know this man? Yes, I know him. Good gracious! Juror number 5, how on earth? I'm a communications officer. As we can clearly see. The gentleman in the photograph is also a communications officer. He works in my office. A very talented operator, in fact. He should be in the communications station now, tapping away on the telegraph. This doesn't seem right somehow. Can't put my finger on why, but it doesn't feel right. I suppose we all imagined the accomplice would be some sort of hardened criminal. It's a bit unexpected he has a respectable job by day, whatever he gets up to at night. Suppose that's it. Suppose that's why I felt something was wrong. Gentleman is at London's communication station. We should be able to subpoena him within the hour. Lord Van Zykes, if you please. Yes, my lord. Make the necessary arrangements with all haste, as your lordship bids. Court will recess for 1 hour. When the new witness arrives, we shall reconvene to hear the gentleman's testimony. Inspector Gregson? Yes, my lord? I should like to hear from you specifically about events at the pawnbrokery at the day in question. Come to my chambers during the recess. Yes, sir, my lord. Very well. Court is adjourned until 1:40 p.m. That'll be my stopping point, because my throat really hurts. And we've almost been going for 4 hours. Let me... Oh. So, things are going really good. I'm excited to see where this is going. The one thing I'm thinking on Monday. I have a day off on Monday. So that means I should be able to stream then. And judging from what V has told me, we might even be able to finish it on Monday. Which would be fun. Which then means I need to figure out what we're doing next. Which I should be figuring out. I got so many different ideas and I'm trying to, like, bounce between. So... we're going to be rating Kiffy. And I really need to stop talking because my throat is starting to hurt. And yeah, hopefully finish it up on Monday. But that'll be it. It's going to be a normal cow raid for Kiffy. She's playing Half-Life 2. Pardon me. But that'll be it for tonight. I'm going to see you guys on Monday, where we will hopefully finish this game off. Remember to take your medicine, stay hydrated, get to bed at a good time, brush your teeth. And remember, I love you all, and I hope you have a nice night. Sleep well. Mwah.
Cow raid. Ow. Hello, Swan. Thank you for the raid. I've died.